Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It's Saturday. We are grinding along. We're going to go over Miles Lockhart has committed. He has jumped into the boat. Is Kingston next? Is KJ Bolden next? There's a lot of big-time names that are going to be coming off the board in the next month. We're going to have all of it for you on BuckeyeScoop.com. We're going to get into a little bit of a cryptic tweet that KJ's dad sent. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Northwestern situation, what it means, and it's going to take some of your questions on what is going on in the summer as the players are enjoying some time off. The coaches are having some time off before it really gets cranked up here in the beginning of August. But first, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We're racing to 20,000 subscribers. We're about 300 away, so keep cranking. We appreciate you guys. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell so you guys can jump in here as soon as we go live and start cranking those questions up for us. We appreciate you guys as always. I hope you guys enjoyed that Phil Steele interview. Very insightful. Phil has agreed to come on every month now, so it's going to be fantastic to see how his predictions hold up through the season. Anything he needs to change. Phil is an encyclopedia of knowledge, and go out and get that Phil Steele book if you can at either Barnes & Noble or Books A Million or philsteele.com. Phil is a great friend. We appreciate him. We look forward to having him on every month. That being said, I got to bring in my man, Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you?
I'm doing good. Like you always, shout out where you're from. Shout out where do Cali Cartel tell Bob. Well, I'm broadcasting live from Oxford, Ohio, from Miami of Ohio University. Here with one of my kids at a camp, and so I'm in God's country for 10 days in Oxford. And so far, I've hit Mac and Charlie's. I think this is a place, is a bar. I've hit Dairy Queen and I've hit McDonald's twice. That's been my thing. So I'm gonna eat my way through Oxford. I'm gonna eat at every restaurant, but McDonald's has gotten two visits from Nevadabuck already, and the over under set at 5 for the week, and I'm not sure which way I'm just gonna go.
Oh, you're gonna go way over that, man. You're gonna be, wondering what to eat. You're not gonna want to try somewhere new. The old Ray Kroc special, the old McDonald's gonna be sitting there. You're like, I'm just gonna walk over there, sensibly priced, have a good time. How is Oxford? I haven't been there in a long time. Any of you that are watching right now, tune in. Any recommendations for Oxford for our boy Nevada? But how is it so far? I know you got in late last night. Have you done much exploring of Miami of Ohio's campus?
No, just walked the campus today, and then there was like a torrential rainstorm. Like it rained for like 30 minutes, like like they just unleashed Niagara Falls on the thing. So I didn't get to had to cut my tour short. But no, it's a beautiful campus. The fun fact about Miami of Ohio University is there's no major freeways apparently that run by here, so you have to take like these country roads to get in here. Saw a couple of deer on the way in and stuff. So this has been like a great nature adventure, and enjoying it for sure.
Well, I'm sure those 10 days will probably go by very slowly, I'm guessing, compared to where you're normally living at. Um, we are going to check out Miles Lockhart. So Miles Lockhart finally jumped into the boat. This is a kid that, honestly, I'm going to be real transparent. I thought he already committed a while ago. He's a kid that's kind of a throwback. He didn't go on 7,000 visits, unofficials, and camp everywhere, and wear 7 different hats. And, this kid he visited Ohio State. He's been basically in for about a year now. He finally pulled the trigger, did the little Hayes Fawcett edit. Nevada, is it refreshing to you to have a kid treat his recruitment this way? And do you think that it hinders his rating at all when he's not camping at Georgia and Bama and Texas, and he's not being like a drama queen like a lot of the kids are now? A kid that just goes on one visit and commits and is low maintenance. Does that hurt him in the NIL era right now?
Without a doubt. I mean, without a doubt. And, before it would just be, as you mentioned, it would just be kind of hurting him with people's impressions or kind of how the fan base feels about him or stuff like that. But right now with NIL, I mean, there's real financial considerations, to, low keying it like this. So look, I definitely, I, I love the old school kids, the kids that aren't dramatic, but that's just because I'm old. And, I think Lockhart is a guy that Ohio State's had penciled on their board for quite some time. I, like you, had kind of forgotten about him because I thought he already had committed. So, no, excited to have him. Excited about every commit. But another good one. But somebody's going to fly under the radar. But these are the kind of kids that typically come to Ohio State and then over exceed everybody's expectations because everybody's expectations are so low. And disappointment is a function of expectation. And in this case, I think him coming in a little bit less heralded is going to bode well for him because he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that when people are, when there's more drama involved, when it's, truly like with KJ Bolden, I mean, he could pick Ohio State, he could pick Bama, he could pick Georgia. I think it's really between Georgia and Ohio State at this point, but there's genuine intrigue there. There's a bit of a cryptic nature. We're going to go over his dad's tweet that was kind of cryptic. I think people get more jazzed up about it. It's like JJ Smith is a classic example. He's been committed to Ohio State, but he's visited 10 different schools in the last, 3 months or whatever. And again, I think that from a business perspective, that's probably the right move to drive up your NIL value and, go around and get your offers and send it to the foundation at Ohio State and see what they can drum up to match it versus, I think if Ohio State thinks that they just have you in the bag, then, they don't need to give you an NIL money. You can just be, they can save the money for KJ Bolden or JJ Smith or Brandon Baker or a kid that's like a true, more of a coin flip, toss up, higher rated kid. So I don't know, but I like this kid. I like I like his tape. I like the fact that he's all business. He wasn't playing. He wasn't, committing, decommitting, recommitting, so I actually look forward to seeing how this kid does. I'm rooting for him again. And I'm old fashioned. Like when I was going through the process, I took one official visit to Ohio State. I committed to Ohio State. Nobody's excited that I committed to Ohio State except for me. But it was great, cause like I said, I was a kid that hated the recruiting process. I hated, talking to coaches. It wasn't that I didn't like the coach, but it's like, it's hard because you feel like you're leading on, 6 or 7 different programs. You're talking to them all, or kind of fake acting excited. But deep down, the only one you really wanted was Ohio State. Once they jumped in the boat, then all of a sudden it was game over and it was a wrap. So, I think my problem is that Ohio State knew that, so they knew they could slow play and do all that. And recruiting's kind of a wicked game. Like it's not always fun to be a part of it. And I was just fortunate that I actually got the offer because a lot of kids are in my shoes and they never get that Ohio State offer and they end up going to Michigan State or Purdue or Pitt or wherever, and it's not quite the same. Nevada, we're getting some good intel from some of our Miami of Ohio people in here. Carson, appreciate you, my man. He graduated from Miami in 2022. Says Skipper's Pub and Pickle.
Yep. Yes,
Have you heard
Skipper's.
of it?
Well, Skipper's Sports Bar, that's on my list. Like sports bars, possible place to maybe go watch the UFC 290 tonight, but I'm not sure if Skipper's is going to have it or not. So that's
It's
kind
critical.
of one of the critical question for me.
Bagel and Deli Shop at Oxford for breakfast bagel is bomb. Again, I'm sure you're sitting in your hotel right now, surfing Yelp, wondering where you're going to get your next meal from. But we appreciate that intel on Oxford, Ohio. I haven't been there in 20 years, so
No, keep it coming, man. Because right now my list is like Wendy's, Dairy Queen, and then or go back to that third time to McDonald's or something like that. And I really don't want to use my third visit to McDonald's this early in the week. I really don't want to do that.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think that it's tough when you're in a college town because like you want to get some of the flavor. And Miami is like Miami's a really nice college town. I mean, it's like the Harvard of the Midwest is what they always called it, and it's a lot of my friends went to Miami. It's a really good school. John Peterson was the O-line coach there when I was there. So yeah, you probably want to get a little bit of the flavor, the local flavor, as opposed to your regular chains. We're gonna get into Kai Bolden, because it is the slow time of the season. The coaches at Ohio State are on vacation. The players are on vacation. So we are going to break down tweets, because that's what you do in the slow time of the year. KJ Bolden's dad, a cryptic tweet, writes, decisions come with consequences in our words. It's important to consider all factors. Nevada, obviously KJ is from Buford, Georgia, hour away from Athens, Georgia, Georgia Bulldogs, two-time national champions. What do you make of the cryptic tweet from KJ Bolden's dad?
Okay, let me break it down for you. This is Nevadabuck's read on the situation. Papa Bolden wants KJ to go to Georgia. KJ, I really think, wants to go to Ohio State. Ohio State really thinks they're getting KJ Bolden. Now, again, none of those that add up to an equal sign or a crystal ball or a prediction or a thumbs up or a winky winky or anything like that. But that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. So, dad is sending a not too subtle message to his son about kind of the same things we talk about with kids out of Ohio that, go and play elsewhere. There's consequences that come along with that. And with this one, there's a familial element as well. Pops wants his kid close, so he can, I'm sure, selfishly, so you can watch him play more, and all the other things that come with having proximity. So that's what's going on. It's consistent with the facts that I know it from Ohio State. It's consistent with the facts that I know it from people close to KJ. That's what I think is going on, and so I think this tweet, while it's only 136 characters or whatever it was, I think it's said an awful lot, and I think it's good news for Ohio State.
Yeah, I think there's some major pros and cons. Obviously, it's great when your son is a 5-star number one player in the country at his position, top 10 player nationally. But man, when you live down in the boiling cauldron that is, Georgia, Florida, Bama, Louisiana, like you get in those SEC, those wild fan bases, man. There's a lot of pressure on your kid, on you to send your kid to the local SEC hub. There's a lot of pressure to send your kid, if he's from Buford, to send him to Georgia. I mean, because again, it's when that kid ships off to Ohio State and he's playing at Ohio State, he's a great player at Ohio State. That there's a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans that are surrounding you, and they're at your work, they're everywhere you go, and it's it can get a little nasty. Like, not everybody is of right mind, not everybody's sane. And it's like that with Ohio State kids. Like when Ohio kids go to Michigan, if it's a kid that Ohio State covets, and the guy does the black, he wears the black hat and he goes to Michigan and does the dumbest thing he could ever do in his life. Like, there's big time consequences. And again, I said every episode, or not every episode, but pretty close to it. If you want to live in, Michigan when you're done, then go to Michigan. If you want to live in Ohio when you're done, it's more beneficial to go to Ohio State. And for the Bolden family, again, obviously we want him at Ohio State. I think he'd be a day one starter if he came to Ohio State at safety, at a position, that's a premium spot in that defense at free safety. But, that Georgia pool is going to be tough to beat. He's a guy that's probably a coin flip right now. If we get him, I'd be stunned. Honestly, I think it'd be up there with getting Von Bell. It'd be up there with getting Raekwon McMillan out of Georgia. It's a fist fight. You got to go against these SEC schools, man. Especially when they get home field advantage. It's their home turf. It's tough. It's really tough. So this will be one that down to the wire, and even down to signing day, man. It's gonna be tough. And we've come close. Like Caleb Downs last year, we were all over Caleb Downs. He was up here. LeBron's giving kiss on the cheek, whatever, pregame, and he's getting drug around the field by all of the Ohio State coaches, and that wasn't enough to get him away from Bama. So this is one where you're really going to have to strap up, and you're going to have to get that cash out if you're the foundation in these collectives, because this is a kid that needs it and really wants it. We're getting more Oxford recommendations. Nevada, are you in agreement on that? Because I think that it's tough to get these kids out of there, because there's a lot of pressure on these parents. But what are your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, I think it's interesting because some schools in Georgia, are pipeline schools for University of Georgia, and other schools not so much. So it's interesting how that kind of works. And for Ohio State feels like they've got a chance of this one, and they're usually pretty cautious about this stuff, especially with kids from the Deep South. But they're a little, I dare say they're optimistic about where they sit right now with it. So we'll see. We'll see if it's just kind of a temporary thing, if it's a fleeting thing. But I have a hunch this one might end up well for Ohio State, and Pops is trying to kind of head it off before the decision is made. That's just a hunch. It's not It's not a call. It's not a Crystal Nevada. It's definitely an educated opinion on it for sure.
I love it. That's about perfect. We got another vote for bagel and deli shop for a breakfast bagel sandwich. Legit.
Very
So
nice.
there you
Very
go. You're gonna
nice.
keep on skating past it. Um, Anything else new? Like, I mean, this is kind of the doldrums. The Northwestern hazing thing is getting a lot of run right now. You know, and I was making fun of the suspension they gave to Pat Fitzgerald because they gave him he's off for 3 weeks. They suspended him for 2 weeks, so he's literally out of vacation. And the only difference between anything is he's just not getting paid. So he's suspended for 2 weeks without pay. But do you think that this could get worse? The student newspaper wrote a big expose on some of the stuff that was going on, purge masks and sodomy. I mean, it's nothing to make light of. I mean, it's a terrible situation. But could this cost Pat Fitzgerald his job potentially?
No,
You don't
no,
think
it could
so?
not. No, I think Northwestern. I mean, he's Mr. Northwestern, and I think it would take a Paterno like type of thing. I mean, hazing goes on just about everywhere in every sport. You see it from billiards to ice hockey to synchronized swimming to whatever. So, and I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that you participated in it when you were at Ohio State because you were above that, Kirk, because you were generally too tired to participate in
I
hazing.
I
And
told you that in pre-show. I did not because I was like I didn't have the energy. Like a lot of it happens during training camp and that type of thing. And like as soon as we go back to the hotel, for one, we don't go back to the hotel till like 9:30 at night. Because we have meetings and walkthroughs and like a billion things. So when any of this went, like I didn't have the energy to do anything other than just sleep and play football because like I was trying to optimize. But yeah, and I never saw it. So I mean, if it happened, I didn't see it because again, I was always kind of in my own little world during training camp where I was just trying to get as much rest as possible. But I don't know. It's like I don't. On the surface, you wouldn't think this would cost him his job just because, like you said, he is Mr. Northwestern. He's kind of the whole program. They don't have an Urban Meyer waiting in the wings to go to Northwestern, but it'll just be interesting to see, if the mob comes after him. Because the mob, once that mob gets drummed up, and I think that the biggest reason this isn't a bigger story is because it's Northwestern, and honestly, nobody cares about Northwestern. If this was Ohio State, ESPN would have like round the clock coverage of it. The SEC network would have round the clock coverage of it. Paul Feinbaum would probably be sitting in our parking lot, but I don't know. I just think that like, what is a school that went 2-10 last year? Nobody cares. No matter how bad it is. It's like the Harvard ice hockey thing, which was a big expose. It cost their coach a big got her fired. It was a 30-year deal with the women's ice hockey program, and it didn't resonate because no one cares about Harvard sports. It's not big time ball like the SEC or Ohio State is. Trying to see what else we got going on. Any other stuff you want to talk about? We had a great. This is a good question. So, you talk about the numbers, the workout numbers being top secret. They're somewhat top secret. They're not super hard to get. We had a question. Basically asked, if we do who the fastest guys by position were. I think a lot of people have kind of made fun of Mickey Marotti's stopwatch sometimes, and I love Coach Mick, but he is a little generous when it comes to posting the times. Like the one Florida Gator thing was the greatest thing ever, where they had like three guys that ran 4.20s or whatever, the Iron Gators, and I used to always make fun of that because I was like, God, I should go out there. I'd probably run a 4.6 if Mickey was timing me. But Nevada, just for the fun of it, let's go position by position, except for quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are probably slow. Who do you think is our fastest running back this year?
Trey Henderson.
You are you does your train have like a Jim Knowles at the front, and then Trey Henderson is like the caboose, like
Yeah,
coming up the
I,
ramp?
I like to go after obscure players and try to bump them up. The guys that are like the number one player in the country
Yeah.
coming out of high school and that rush for like 1,500 yards freshman. Yeah, I like to pick like just really weird positions like that. So yeah, I'm on the Trey train. Um, he's back from Plantar. We've talked about Plantar before, but if anybody who's had Plantar, I've had Plantar, and it was just hard to move. It was hard to go to the grocery store. Let alone, I can't imagine trying to play major college football with it. and especially at any position, but especially as a running back. So the fact that he was able to fight through it, coming back with a vengeance this year, and he'll definitely be fast. And we laugh about Coach Mick's stopwatch, but it's not like Ohio State players have run slow at the combine either. You know what I'm saying? So like when they're
Yeah.
talking about, oh, this guy's going to go this, and all of a sudden Chris Olave goes 4.37 or whatever it was, it's like, oh, maybe we do have fast players.
Well, it's like here, and I'm blocking it. I apologize, but here has Denzel Ward 4.23, Kendall Sheffield 4.25, Paris Johnson 4.26, J.K. Dobbins 4.32, Mike Weber 4.35. I don't know who Goings is. He must have been a walk on 4.36. Terry McLaurin 4.36. I mean, that's really fast to have three guys that are sub 4.3. But you're right. When they went to the combine, they ran 4.3s, 4.4s. They might have been a tick off. Obviously this board is a few years old because it's got, Paris and Denzel. But it's not like these guys showed up and ran 4.6s after running 4.2s. I don't think they actually ran a 4.2 in real life. But in mixed world, it's kind of, I don't know. It's funny because we had some crazy deals. See, this is what I was thinking. He said that this is good, Troy. Chicago press goes hard on the story. It could cost him jobs. See, like I think it's kind of an innocuous story, but I just think that it depends on how much rage or faux outrage comes of it. And how big of a story it gets to be, and is it national, and is it become a 24-hour news story? Because like with Tressel, when I was with him in 10, and before he got whacked, it just became like this. Like Joe Shad was waiting outside of our trading table, like with the little microphone, like round the clock coverage of, oh my God, Tattoo Gate. And these guys sold their gold pants for $200. And oh my God, how could you ever sell something that you own? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
But again,
but Kirk, let's think about that one. Okay, first of
mhm,
all, it's Ohio State, and we
yes.
all know the difference. Ohio State's the big dog. First of all,
Yep.
secondly, Tressel being the squeaky clean,
Yep.
you know, sweater vest, you're
Yep.
wearing non-swearing guy. They wanted to bring him down so bad.
Yep.
That's why this is
Hmm.
started. Now you look at Fitzgerald, and like Northwestern doesn't want to get rid of Fitzgerald, and
No.
he's not a real easy guy to hate. And they don't have anybody better waiting in the wings. Like you said, they don't have an Urban Meyer waiting in the wings, and they're irrelevant. So it doesn't have any of the tinder that you want to have
Nope.
there to kind of start this big fire, because it's like it's a tough story for people, like you said, to work up their faux outrage over. So I don't see it. Now, having said that, it'll probably be front page of every story tomorrow, unless there's more to it. Unless he's like
Yeah.
participating in the
Yep.
hazing and they have pictures of him there with a broomstick or something, then that would be bad. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think he should be okay.
No, I totally agree. Like Northwestern is a nothing brand. Nobody cares about it. Pat Fitzgerald, when you're the worst team in the Big Ten, nobody cares. Again, versus Tress, who won a national title, squeaky clean. People they always want to bring down the guys that they could get the most fervor out of. So that's why you go after the giant like Jim Tressel. You go after Pat Fitzgerald. Nobody cares because nobody cares about Northwestern football. They're just kind of a cute little program that makes the Big Ten title game like once every 10 years, and then they go back to being terrible, going 4-8 and 2-10 or whatever. So, but no, I think you're really spot on that. Well, we
I
got
want to get a good.
good.
I want to get a good steak here in Oxford. Where can I get a good steak? Come on, guys,
Where
help
can
me
he get
out.
a good steak?
Yeah,
BW3s,
no,
Buffalo, Buffalo,
please.
Buffalo
That
Wild Wings.
that can't be the answer. That cannot be the answer, guys. Please don't make that be the answer.
There's a lot of love for Kai Stokes in this shot. See, I think Kai Stokes is going to be great, but he's got to play. There's some guys that I think that physically could do great things, at certain positions, but if they don't play, it doesn't matter. Like I think Evan Pryor's a guy. If he's healthy, he could be a dynamic running back, but he's like the sixth string running back right now. I mean, if they got him behind Trey, and then you got mine, and then you got Dallin Hayden, then you got Chip, then you got, is Evan Pryor the next guy up, I guess? So, again, I think Evan Pryor would do fantastic if he was in a full time role, but he might get 20 carries, you know?
So
Yeah, but
fastest wide receiver. If you lined up the wide receivers right now, had them run a 40, who's fastest?
Jaden Ballard,
Yeah,
easily,
that's the answer. Yeah, that's the
easily.
answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Tight end, I don't know. It's probably not Cade, probably not Jelani because Jelani's too big. Cade, maybe Joe Royer. I'd say Joe Royer probably.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
O line, God, I'd say Luke Montgomery probably because he's light. You always have to like put it through the scope of guys that are lighter. He's probably 300, but he's already like a lighter, good athlete. So I'd probably go Luke. I'd say, just because a lot of those guys are bigger, 310, 315. Do you agree with Luke?
I mean, that's probably the guy. Either him or George. It's like one of those two. I'd pick a guy that's a little younger, a little more nimble on his feet. But yeah, Luke's that's just that he's a basketball player too. So that's probably as good a pick as any.
Yeah, like a year ago, I would have said George just because he was lighter. But these guys, when they're show up as freshmen and they're 285, and then all of a sudden the next year they're 315, like so that's kind of the lens you kind of look it all through. Defensive line is an interesting one, and it makes you want to say Kenyatta Jackson just because of the height and the length. I don't think you can put a defensive tackle in the mix. I think Jack's probably too heavy. So I'd probably have to go with Kenyatta. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Well, I
Um,
mean, Caden Curry literally said that I felt I got too heavy and felt too slow. So I mean, he's not feeling. If you're winning every sprint versus all your defensive line mates, you're not saying that you feel slow. So he would have been my next pick just because he's light. I don't know, but no, that's a good one. Actually, it'd be interesting to see G Scott. I mean, I haven't seen anything out of G Scott his whole career other than the headbutt. So, and I think Joe looks lighter. I'd probably pick Joe, honestly. G probably 2 years ago when he was still playing, when he's still converting over. But I don't know. That'd be interesting. It might be G over Joe Royer.
I tell you, in the 10 yard dash, which I know, people before people laugh, and 10 yard dash for me is a pretty relevant thing, especially for defensive linemen. But
Hmm.
I'm going with Ty. I'm going with Tyleek. Tyleek gets off the ball so damn fast.
Seriously, you
Yes,
going with Tyreek?
I'm telling you, 10 yard dash. He's explosive, man. He explodes out of there. Absolutely explodes out of there. I want to see the testing numbers. I'm telling you, in the 10 yard, I bet you his numbers are crazy.
Oh, I'm sure they are for his size, but it's just hard when you're going against guys that weigh 250 and you weigh 330.
I'm
Even
telling
I
you.
mean,
I'm telling you, that could be a sneaky one. I bet you he's definitely above. He'll be in the 75th percentile or better. I'm guaranteeing it.
I'm gonna laugh when he's at all these restaurants that we keep naming in Oxford tonight. You run into him when you're going to get your steak and your bowl of ice cream, and all of a sudden you run into Ty Leak sitting there.
I
Oh,
hope that'd be awesome. I'll race him.
race him to um, yeah, I don't. I'm just kind of going through the candidates. All right, linebacker is an interesting one. I'd say probably C.J. Hicks. Um, do you have any other Gabe
Yeah,
Powers,
I mean
Reed?
Cody Simon can run, but CJ is
Yeah.
probably a little younger. Depends on if we're talking about Sonny Styles as a linebacker or as a safety or where we're kind of slotting him. But yeah, CJ can definitely run.
Yeah, so let's do the secondary next then. So I'm gonna go. God, that's hard. Part of me wants to say Davis and Igbinosun, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be my pick as well. I mean, Davison can scoot. I mean, he can absolutely scoot. That
I
was
think a
one of the
guard.
things when he
Go
first
ahead.
hit campus doing when the first time they ran. I mean, he ran with he was with the fast guys, so he would definitely be the fastest of the cornerbacks in my opinion.
Yeah, he can boogie. Um, it'd be interesting to see what how the freshmen are timing out right now. Where you got guys like Jermaine Matthews Jr. You got some of these guys. Calvin Simpson can fly. He actually might be the guy. I mean, he's only 175. He's the lightest guy in the secondary.
Yeah, well,
Um,
we'll do a podcast. We'll get these numbers and we'll go through that. So that'd be a fun one
yeah,
to do.
that's a great idea. Yeah, see, they got Luke listed at 295, but I think it has to be Luke. Honestly, I'm looking at these names and body weights and size, and I mean, it has to be Luke, in my opinion. So, but this is a good one. Any other final calls on Oxford? We appreciate you guys tuning in. Miami of Ohio, the home of Nevadabuck for the next 10 days. So if you guys have anything else, put that in the comments below. I'm sure we'll be surfing around, seeing where to eat at, where to check out. So any final thoughts of that? We'll wrap this thing up. Big UFC card tonight. Any picks on the UFC card that people should know about for gambling
Yeah,
purposes?
Jalen Turner. We've got everything bet on Jalen. The line opened at -180. It's now -300. So
Oh,
probably the
wow.
value's not quite there. But we've been handing this pick out for a little bit over 2 weeks right now. Jalen Turner. We've got everything. If let's put it this way: if Jalen Turner doesn't win, then I'm eating at McDonald's for 14 of my next 15 meals. There will be no steak for Nevadabuck if Jalen Turner loses. So we're we're hoping for some good success, and let's have Jalen Turner not get DQ'd for an illegal eye poke or anything else like that.
Is there good value on betting Bo Nickel at -2100?
Yeah, no, biggest favorite in this. But you look the whole cards; these gigantic favorites. Tyra's a big favorite. Bo's the biggest favorite in the history of the thing. I mean, it's just like favorite. But it's going to be fun. It's an action packed card tonight. UFC 290 starting here in a couple hours, and Nevadabuck is going to be huddled somewhere watching it here in Oxford, Ohio.
Is -2100 the biggest favorite you've ever seen in the UFC? Especially
No,
for
it
a
is.
main for a main card fight.
No, it's the biggest favorite in the history of the UFC.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's
that's
amazing.
especially against an undefeated fighter. I mean, he's fighting an undefeated guy, So it's like, it is fighting. So somebody could throw a punch and win the fight. So
Like you said, you're just one eye poke away, baby. You
exactly, one
know?
illegal groin strike away from a win. So
My God, that's amazing. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Appreciate you guys. Talk about the fastest Buckeyes. Who are the fastest Buckeyes? We appreciate. That's a great question. We're gonna dig into that. We'll get those numbers for you guys. Appreciate you guys as always. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click on that alert bell when we go live. Appreciate you guys. Shout out where you guys are from, where you guys are watching from. If you went to Miami of Ohio, give us your tips. Where should we eat at? We're going to be kicking it there tonight, it looks like. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. I'm about to jump on BuckeyeScoop.com, get it cranked up. There's a lot of good topics on there right now, talking about expansion, talking about recruiting. It's about to crank up over the next 2-3 weeks with some big time guys committing. A lot of them look like they're going to be Buckeyes. So Kingston, you're on deck, baby. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.